This reel of mine went kind of viral and I got this question. Stepping up the weight too quickly can lead to poor form though. So how do you keep good form and progress consistently? And this is such a good question because when most people think about progress in the gym, they think it means only adding more weight. In today's video, I'm gonna break this down in a way that makes training for women in the gym easy and clear. I'll walk you through what progressive overload means, why adding weight too quickly can backfire, and how to progress consistently without sacrificing form or long-term results. And if you're wondering why you should listen to me, hi, my name's Kaylee. I'm an online strength and nutrition coach for women, and I have worked with over 500 women with busy, full lives. A big part of my job is helping them unlearn a lot of fitness advice that has never really worked for them, to help them stop looking to be the smallest version of themselves, finally drop body fat, build that muscle definition they're looking for, feel their strongest and most confident, and be able to maintain those results sustainably for good. I'm gonna break down what progressive overload means, how to accomplish it, and the best workout strategy that you can implement so you don't have to spend every day in the gym and see way better results from the time and energy you are investing both in the gym and the kitchen. And I'll be walking you through exactly how I do this using client examples that I myself worked with to help them lose more than 15 pounds of weight, build that muscle definition, and maintain those results for good. So let's get into it. Progressive overload is often thought to be just one thing, adding more weight. But when the weight increases too quickly and before you're actually ready, a few types of compensation can happen, and it usually looks something like shortening your range of motion, other muscle groups taking over, or momentum replacing muscular tension. And none of those really mean that you got stronger, just that you found a way to survive the rep. So let's talk about what progressive overload actually means. Progressive overload simply means increasing the training stimulus over time, and it is the backbone of long-term strength and muscle growth. It's a primary driver of hypertrophy and changes in our body composition. At its core, progressive overload means a measurable, gradual increase in the challenge placed on your muscles over time. The key word is measurable, which is why consistency matters. In my coaching style, the goal is hypertrophy. We are building muscle so that once our body fat comes down, there actually is muscle definition to see. To do that effectively, we train in structured phases called mesocycles, where exercises repeat for several weeks. If your exercises are changing too often, it often becomes impossible to know whether you're actually getting stronger or just doing something new and shiny and different. And even if you're being consistent, tracking your workouts, and you have the perfect training plan, the right exercises, the right rep ranges, but your workouts are not becoming more and more challenging over time, your body has no reason to adapt. And this is the difference between exercising and training. Consistency plus progressive overload is what drives results. Now, when it comes to progressive overload, increasing the weight is just one variable. There are multiple ways to apply overload that build strength and muscle without rushing weight increases or ego lifting. You can progress by adding more reps at the same weight, adding more sets at the same weight with consistent quality reps, training closer to muscular failure by increasing the effort and reducing your reps in reserve. You can slow down the tempo and increase time under tension. You can add in pauses, specifically in weak positions. You can improve your form or range of motion with better execution and control. You can increase how frequently a muscle is trained across the week. And my least favorite option for hypertrophy, you can take shorter rest periods. Did I miss any? I'm willing to bet that list was way longer than you thought it would be. The point is this: you have more tools than you think. Strength is not always quite as linear as we'd like. It doesn't always move in a straight line, and chasing weight alone is one of the fastest ways to plateau progress and end up frustrated. Some forms of progression aren't as easy to track on paper, but they are just as important, if not more important, than what shows up in your logbook. And now, when we realize how wide progressive overload is, we have so many tools in our back pocket and different levers that you can pull to continue to push progress forward, even when the weight feels just as heavy. The key is knowing which lever to pull and when, because not all progression is equal. There is a hierarchy to progression that keeps training effective and sustainable. Of the different ways that we can progress, the number one focus is going to be form and execution. If your form isn't dialed in, you're not placing tension on the right muscles. Instead, supporting muscles take over, maybe even joints, and the result is less growth where you want it. Mastering our form ensures that that target muscle is carrying the load and not everything else around it. Second is tempo and control. The rule of thumb is not to rush through reps. Slowing down and controlling the eccentric phase of the movement increases our time under tension, which drives growth and reinforces proper execution. Number 3, effort, measured by RPE or reps in reserve, aka RIR. This is about understanding how close you are training to true muscular failure and learning how to push yourself appropriately. The right level of effort ensures that your muscles receive a stimulus strong enough to adapt without burning out. Finally, we look at weight and reps. Adding load and reps is valuable, but it only matters once the foundations of form, tempo, and effort are in place. Adding load and reps absolutely matters, but chasing it without our foundations usually just sacrifices stimulus quality and increases our injury risk. Once form, control, and effort are locked in, then increasing weight and reps is a really good focus. The number should reflect quality, not replace it. So the hierarchy is nail the foundations of form, tempo, and effort first, then let the numbers in weight and reps come as a result from quality training. So how do we know when we're ready to add weight? You're ready to increase weight when you can complete a majority of your reps, that your plan is written out with proper form, your range of motion stays the same across all sets, you're not using momentum to initiate your reps, your form looks the same on the first rep and close to the same on the last rep, and you have good control and consistent tempo through the majority of your reps. And this is the important point that I like to teach. When those boxes are checked and you increase your weight, you should expect a natural small step back in execution. The heaviest weight that you have ever used will rarely look like your cleanest, most perfect reps. That's normal. We don't need to be afraid of not having perfect form, but the size and the direction of the change matters. The drop in form should be minor, controllable, and improve with focused effort, often within the same session or at least across the next few workouts. This new heavier weight should challenge your execution, but it should not fundamentally change the movement or remove tension from the target muscle. The goal is to earn the weight by cleaning it up before progressing weight again. If your form continues to deteriorate or the movement pattern just changes and you feel it in entirely different muscle groups or maybe even your joints, that weight is probably ahead of your current capacity for good quality work, and you might need to drop the weight back down and spend more time mastering that previous weight. Progressive overload works because of repetition. It only works if it's applied consistently, not perfectly, consistently. Strength and muscle are built through repeated exposure to the same movements done well over time, not through random intensity spikes or constantly chasing novelty. Boring consistency wins. This is why training should feel hard, but not chaotic, with predictable sessions and minimal decisions. Let's walk through what progression actually looks like inside of real training week to week. Let's start with programmed progressions. These are progressions that are intentionally built into your training block ahead of time to ensure that progressive overload is happening. Even with these written progressions, it's important to remember that form, execution, and control are always priorities. The written progression gives you the structure, but quality still matters. This first example shows progression through the most common lens of adding weight. Each week you would add weight, which increases your effort and reduces your reps in reserve. As you increase weight each week, you are trading closer and closer to muscular failure over time because reps and sets stay the same, and the only way to meet increased effort demand is by naturally adding a small amount of weight. In week 1, you lift a moderate load while keeping about 3 reps in reserve. Week 2, that drops to 2 RIR, so you would increase the weight just a little bit. By week 3, you're working at 1 RIR with another small weight increase. And by week 4, you're training at 0 RIR, meaning you're very close to your limit. That increase is progressive overload in action and what most people are used to doing. But it's also important to understand that progress often feels faster in the early weeks and it slows down over time. As you get closer and closer to your true strength limit, the jumps in weight naturally become smaller. That's normal and expected, and it's a sign that you're training at a higher level, closer to your max strength. Once you were to max out your abilities to add weight, then you could focus on improving form. One technique I like to do is have clients do 2 less reps than their max, but add a pause to the movement at the hardest part for 2 to 3 weeks. Usually at week 3, they can naturally do the pauses with better form. Then we remove the pauses at the bottom, and they would have an easier time doing straight sets at that weight that felt really challenging just a few weeks ago. Not all progression can be written down. Let's talk about how some of the most important progressions can happen through improved execution. In this example, the hip thrust was done with about 100 pounds in week 1 with no issue. In week 2, the weight was increased to 110 pounds, but lower back pain showed up. That is a sign that either form broke down or the weight exceeded current capacity. This is where the value of form videos becomes so incredibly important. In week 3, we pulled the weight back down to 100 pounds and there's no pain. The movement feels clean, the pain-free, and I have this client take videos and send them in for form review. I gave her some feedback on small adjustments to make, and by week 4, she's doing good. She's increased the weight to 105 pounds with solid execution, no pain, no issues. In week 5, she's now able to perform that 110 pounds, which caused her pain previously, but this time without any issues. This is progression. Her form got better and she has better execution at similar and slightly heavier weights. Hopefully those give you a clear example of how you can use these different strategies to continue to progress when weight feels heavy and form starts to fail. And I also like to remind my clients, strength does not move in a straight line. Some weeks it will go up, some weeks it'll just hold steady, and some weeks it will dip slightly, especially as women. Sleep, stress, nutrition, recovery, even our menstrual cycle, all influence performance. The longer you train and the closer you work to your true strength limits, the more common these fluctuations become. This is why progression is not always weight progression and why it's not always linear. Zooming out matters. 1 week down is not a problem, but consistent downward trends across multiple weeks usually mean something deeper needs attention. Now, for my training style, when it comes to training blocks, when you start a new training block phase or mesocycle, week 1, I always tell my clients it should be considered more so of an experiment week. The first week of a new training block is not about hitting personal records. Instead, the focus should be on learning the exercises, dialing in your form, and figuring out what weights put you in the right rep range with the right effort. Think of it as your testing week to establish a baseline. The goal is to set a solid baseline, not crush yourself. It is way better for week 1 to feel a little too easy rather than overdo it and end up sore for a week, have to pull back, and maybe even miss sessions. Then, once you know what weights challenge you in each exercise, in weeks 2 and beyond of that training block, the goal is to push to do slightly more than you did the week before by adding either small amounts of weights, squeezing out an extra rep here and there, or improving control, form, and range of motion, and the ability to apply effort. This steady progression is the main driver of muscle growth, aka hypertrophy, and strength. And even small progressions matter. Strength is built by gradually increasing weight over time. Even just adding 2.5 pounds is meaningful progress, especially for us girlies with muscle groups like upper body, which most of us just aren't strong at in the beginning. These small weekly improvements add up to big changes in strength and muscle over the course of your training. So to sum that all up, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Progress in the gym is not about lifting the heaviest weight ever and rushing the weight at expense of your form or your body. It is having a clear plan where your training is progressing intentionally, your nutrition is aligned, and your execution stays high enough to actually create the change you're looking for. When those 3 pillars are aligned, progress just starts to flow. It's definitely still work, but it becomes a steady, rewarding process where if you zoom out over 1, 3, 6 months, you can see that things are actually changing. And if you don't have a plan, you already know what I'm gonna say. What are you doing? Random effort leads to random results, and that is just not the energy we need. If you've been feeling frustrated, stuck, or like nothing has worked for you, that does not mean your body's broken. I was in that cycle for years, so I truly understand how discouraging that feels. And I blamed everything but myself, my genetics, my body, you name it. And I promise you this, if I can step on a bodybuilding stage with Hashimoto's disease and build the physique that I have today, you can absolutely accomplish your goals of getting lean, toned, and confident too. It usually just means that your strategy that you've been using does not align with the results that you actually want. You need a plan that is built for you and your specific goals. This was a lot of information, and knowing exactly how to apply it to your body and your life can be a bit much, which is exactly why I offer one-to-one online coaching. I fully customize your training, nutrition, and every aspect of your plan, review it weekly, adjust based on your data, and give you that ongoing support, encouragement, and feedback, including form review videos, so nothing is left to guesswork. If you want that level of guidance so you don't have to figure this all out on your own, click the link in the description and fill out an application. I'd love to talk with you and see if we're a good fit. I hope this video helped you feel more confident in understanding how strength training progression actually works. If it did, do the YouTube thing, make sure to like the video, subscribe, comment channel, all that stuff, and send it to someone who needs to hear this. You can also share it on your stories and tag me, and I'll say thank you. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Go build your strongest, most confident body today, and I'll catch you in the next video.